face and limbs hideously contorted. The floor and walls of the room are spattered with blood. There are no wounds on his body. The scarlet thread of murder runs through the colorless skein of life, and our duty is to unravel it and isolate it and expose every inch of it.
A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, dramatised in 2 parts by Bert Coules, with Clive Merrison as Sherlock Holmes and Michael Williams as Dr. John Watson. A Study in Scarlet, Part 2, The Country of the Saints.
After much fruitless racking of my brain, I had finally discovered that my new fellow lodger, Sherlock Holmes, a man of singular talents, enthusiasms and areas of ignorance, was in fact what he termed a consulting detective. I have it in me, he told me modestly, to make my name famous. All he lacked was the proper opportunity. I was convinced, though Holmes was not, that this opportunity had at last arrived, with the invitation by no less a personage than Inspector Tobias Gregson of Scotland Yard to investigate the bizarre murder of one Enoch J. Drebber. On the day following the killing, the papers were full of the Brixton mystery.
Listen to this one. The German name of the murdered man, the absence of all other motive, and the sinister inscription Rache, revenge, written upon the wall, all point to political refugees and revolutionists, the socialists of many branches in America.
Don't tell me. The Daily Telegraph.
Oh, very good, Watson. The piece also mentions the Weingericht, Aqua Tofana, the Carbonari, the Marchioness de Bronvilliers, the Darwinian theory, the principles of Malthus, and the Radcliffe Highway murders. What do you have?
The Standard. Lawless outrages of this sort usually occur under a liberal government. They arise from the unsettling of the minds of the masses and the consequent weakening of all authority.
Very true.
And some new facts.
Oh, good heavens.
The deceased was an American gentleman.
Oh, that's hardly new. Even Lestrade and Gregson discovered that.
Who had been residing at the boarding house of Madame Charpentier in Camberwell with his private secretary, Mr. Joseph Stangerson. So, the mysterious Stangerson has been identified.
Someone's been busy. Probably Gregson. We are glad to learn that Mr. Gregson and Mr. Lestrade of Scotland Yard are both engaged on the case. It is confidently anticipated that these 2 well-known officers will speedily throw light on the matter.
Which one's that?
Daily News. I told you that whatever happened, those 2 would be certain to score.
That depends on how it turns out.
Oh, bless you. It doesn't matter in the least. If the man is caught, it'll be on account of their exertions. If he escapes, it'll be in spite of their exertions. A fool can always find a bigger fool to admire him, as the old French poet said.
Holmes?
My dear fellow?
You seem highly delighted by that telegram this morning. What was in it?
Oh, that. The name of the murderer. Shall we order some more toast?
Mr. Holmes.
Mrs. Hudson, have you added mind reading to your many other accomplishments?
Mr. Holmes, I really must protest. What do you think you're doing inviting me? Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes, in all my years I have never witnessed such a display.
Silence in the ranks. Mrs. Hudson, may I present the Baker Street Division of the Detective Police Force?
Oh.
In future, you must wait in the street. Wiggins, you can come up alone to report.
Yes, sir.
Now, was there anything else, Mrs. Hudson?
There was not.
Right. Have you found it yet?
No, sir, we ain't.
Well, you must keep on until you do. Here are your wages. Yes, there we are. Now go, and bring back a better report next time.
Yes, sir. All right, you lot. Come on. Hold it. Put 'em back, Vicky.
I ain't got nothing.
Vicky. That's better. So long, gents.
There's more work to be got out of those little beggars than out of a dozen of the regular force. They can go everywhere and hear everything. All they want is organisation.
You're employing them on this Brixton case?
Yes, there's something I want to track down. It's only a matter of time.
Do you really know the name of the murderer?
Oh, hello. We're going to hear some news now with a vengeance. Here's Gregson coming down the road with beatitude written upon every feature of his face. It's all right, Mrs. Hudson. The gentleman's expected.
My dear Holmes, congratulate me. I've made the whole thing as clear as day. Doctor.
Good morning. Do you mean that you're on the right track?
The right track? Why, sir, I have the man under lock and key.
And his name?
Arthur Charpentier.
Take a seat, Gregson. Try one of these cigars. Yes, we're anxious to know how you managed it, aren't we, Watson?
Well, yes.
Of course we are.
The fun of it is that fool Lestrade has gone off on the wrong track altogether. He's chasing after the secretary, Stangerson. But he had no more to do with the cry than a babe unborn. Lestrade's probably arrested him by now.
My dear Gregson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Holmes.
How exactly did you get your clue?
Yeah, well, now, I'll tell you all about it. Of course, gentlemen, this is strictly between ourselves.
Of course.
Well, the first difficulty was the tracing of this Drebber's movements prior to his murder. Now, you may not remember it, but there was a hat lying beside the body.
Yes, made by John Underwood and Sons, 129 Camberwell Road.
Oh, I'd no idea you noticed that. Have you been there?
No.
Now, you should never neglect a clue, however small it may seem.
To a great mind, nothing is little.
Exactly. Well, I went to Underwood and Sons and had them check back in their books. Now, that hat was bought by a Mr. Drebber and was delivered. That's how I got his address.
Smart, very smart.
I called upon Madame Charpentier. You know that feeling, Mr. Holmes, when you come up on the right scent, a kind of thrill in your nerves?
I do indeed.
Yes. May I help you?
I found her very pale and distressed. I began to smell a rat.
Mother, who is it?
The daughter also looked extremely red about the eyes. I determined to be direct with them. I am a police officer. Have you heard of the mysterious death of your late boarder, Mr. Enoch J. Drebber?
Admirably direct, Gregson.
Yes. Yes, we have. From the evening paper.
Oh, it's quite exciting. What happened next?
At what o'clock did Mr. Drebber leave your establishment yesterday?
At 8 o'clock.
And was that the last you saw of him?
Yes. No. No, it wasn't. Alice. No good can ever come of falsehood, Mother. Let us be frank with this gentleman. We did see Mr. Drebber again.
God forgive you. You have murdered your brother.
I persuaded Madame Charpentier to make a clean breast of the facts. Now, apparently, this Drebber was a bit of a bad lot, and he and Stangerson were ordered off the premises. Drebber had returned roaring drunk and made obscene advances towards her daughter. This was witnessed by the son, Arthur Charpentier, who soundly trounced the American and threw him out of the house.
Surely, Inspector, that's exactly what one would have expected in
Oh, yes, Doctor, of course. But then this Arthur followed Drebber out into the street to send him on his way. Now, both the mother and the daughter clearly heard the son's words.
And they were?
I mean it, Drebber, I'll kill you. The son didn't return to the house until the early hours of the morning.
What is his version of events?
Oh, some cock and bull story about just walking away and leaving Drebber lying in the gutter.
Were there any witnesses?
No, none we can trace. Charpentier thinks he may have heard a cab.
Oh, well done, Gregson. This is vital information. You really are getting along. We shall make something of you yet.
I flatter myself that I've managed it rather neatly. The whole case fits together uncommonly well.
Did you say you've arrested Charpentier?
Yes, late last evening. No doubt he'll sing a different song after spending the night as a guest of Her Majesty.
Perhaps.
Oh, I can't wait to see that fool Lestrade's face.
Come in, Lestrade.
Yeah, what?
Inspector Lestrade, gentlemen.
Oh, by Jove.
Thank you, Mrs. Hudson.
Good morning, Mr. Holmes. Gentlemen,
Is everything all right, Inspector?
This is a most extraordinary case, a most incomprehensible affair.
Oh, you think so, do you, Lestrade? Have you managed to find the secretary, Mr. Joseph Stangerson?
The secretary, Mr. Joseph Stangerson, was murdered about 6 o'clock this morning.
Stangerson murdered too? Are you sure?
Extremely sure. It was I who discovered the body at Halliday's private hotel, Gower Street.
Take a seat, Lestrade.
Thank you. I knew that both Americans were intending to sail home from Liverpool, and I reasoned that Stangerson might still be planning to do so. That meant taking a Euston train. I and my men made inquiries at all the private hotels in the area of the station.
But there must be over 100.
Yes, but I tracked him down about 7 o'clock this morning.
It's very early, sir.
He'll see me.
Are you the gentleman he's been expecting, then?
I doubt it. Which room is it?
Here we are, sir. Number 23.
Right. You can go now. Oh, God!
What's the matter?
Have you got a pass key?
Look, what's going on? Who are you?
I'm a police officer. Stand back!
What? Oh, my God!
I'd seen something that made me feel sick, in spite of my 20 years' experience. A little red ribbon of blood was flowing out from under the door. It had meandered across the passage and formed a pool along the skirting at the other side.
And inside the room?
The window was open, and beside it, all huddled up, was the body of a man lying in a pool of blood. The porter identified him as Stangerson. But the strangest part of the whole affair, what do you suppose was above the murdered man?
The word Raka, written in letters of blood.
Exactly as before.
Was everything the same, Lestrade?
Not quite. This one had been stabbed.
Stabbed?
A deep wound in the left side.
Stabbed. Something must have gone wrong.
Oh, I've arrested an innocent man. My suspect was under lock and key at the very moment the real villain was killing again.
Don't reproach yourself, Gregson. Your case was basically quite sound.
This time, the murderer was seen.
You have a witness?
Yes. A milk boy saw a man climbing down a ladder at the back of the hotel. He was so open about it that the lad took him for a workman.
Did you get a description?
The man was unusually tall, well-built, and had a reddish face, exactly as you said he would be, Mr. Holmes.
Yes. Did you find anything significant in the room?
Nothing. Stangerson's cases were packed. They'd been sent to the yard. There were just a few items lying loose. Here. One cheap novel, which was open on the bedside table. One pipe and one box of matches. They were on a chair. The only other thing was a small ointment box containing a couple of pills. Here.
The last link. My case is complete.